Welcome back to the IBSP. Here's your host, Boxing News.
David Benavidez is the Mexican chicken, and look, let's break it down honestly and objectively as possible. And you see David Benavidez missed his opportunity to fight Canelo Alvarez and enforce his mandatory. He could have forced the fight. He could have forced Canelo Alvarez's hand or had Canelo Alvarez stripped, but he refused to do it. That's why David Benavidez can never say that Canelo ducked him, can never say that Canelo ran from him, because when David Benavidez was in the perfect position to force Canelo's hand, he acted exactly like a Mexican pollo, a Mexican chicken. He ducked the opportunity, and this is what I mean. David Benavidez all last year was talking about the WBC should strip Canelo if he refused to fight him. Then David Benavidez went on to state that, hey, he's going to force the Canelo Alvarez fight. His team had a letter already prepared for David Benavidez to stay at 168 pounds. So up to this point, you see David Benavidez and his team talking about they're going to force the mandatory and Canelo needs to be stripped if he does not fight David. This is what they were talking about. Then David Benavidez turns around and starts selling t-shirts saying that Canelo Alvarez is ducking him and he's going duck hunting. Okay, and what happens immediately when the time comes for David Benavidez to enforce his mandatory? David Benavidez reaches out to the WBC and requests a 2-week extension to decide if he wants to enforce his mandatory. But that makes no sense, because just before, David Benavidez was putting out ducking shirts. So how you ducking but you won't enforce your mandatory? How is he ducking you but you will not enforce your mandatory? Okay. David Benavidez putting out ducking shirts, but David Benavidez was talking previously like, hey, he already had, all of these letters ready to enforce his mandatory. Now you need a 2-week extension? Now you need 2 weeks to think about it, but that's the fight you won and this man's ducking? That don't make any sense. Okay, so what did David Benavidez do immediately after this? Then he requests another week extension. So now you need a total of 3 weeks to think about what you want to do. You need almost an entire month, but Canelo Alvarez is ducking. But earlier you said that, hey, Canelo Alvarez, we're going to force his hand, we're going to enforce the mandatory, and he's going to need to be stripped. But your energy changed completely. This is why David Benavidez is losing respect. This is why people don't support David anymore. This is why people see through him. This man is acting just like a chicken. I mean, it's disgusting. This is the same David Benavidez that went on to say that he believes Canelo is scared of him. He's afraid of him. But if Canelo's scared of you and he's afraid of you, then why won't you simply enforce your mandatory and get his belt? Make him look like a coochie, a vagina, a pussy, but you won't do it because you're the true clout chaser and pussy. Because if you were the man you said you were, there's no way you would have allowed Canelo Alvarez an opportunity like this to not force his hand, to not get your shot at that title, and to make him fight you or drop his belt like a coward, and you didn't do it. So David Benavidez is officially the Mexican chicken, the Mexican clout chaser, but he's absolutely not a Mexican monster.